Hi, thank you for joining us. My name is Gilbert and I'm the CEO and co-founder of eMsika. We recently wrote an article titled The Modern Education System, and in that article we spoke about how one is no longer limited to the idea of sitting in a classroom at specific times for them to learn anything. Despite the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic being terrible and devastating, it made room for a lot of innovation across the world. One of them for us at eMsika is how we deliver information to farmers. You see, prior to the pandemic, we followed farmers to their residential areas to educate them on how to farm as a business, sometimes even having classes in the heat of the sun. Now, we get to reach a much wider audience who are young, old, experienced, and even aspiring farmers in the comfort of their homes or wherever they may choose to take their lessons from. Anyone is at liberty to attend any class at any time and study at their own pace using our recently launched platform, Apunzile.com. In full words, Mulimi Apunzile. On this platform, we get to work with professionals from different fields: agrochemicals, livestock, plant diseases, and so on. If you would love to be part of this global community like I do, you can access our e-learning platform by simply going to www.apunzile.com and pick from a wide range of programs that we have made available for you. We look forward to seeing you there. And please remember, no farmer, no food. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this wonderful training. I hope you had a wonderful day. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you are productive, and I hope you had success in everything that you did today. Thank you for joining us this evening. We have a training for you from Good Nature Agro by Mr. Silungwe. He's from Good Nature Agro. He's here to talk about some products that can help us as farmers, that we can try to buy as we enter in the farming season. Please stick around. If you know that this training has got awesome information, please share it with those that you think are looking for such information. Don't be selfish. Share it around with everyone that you may want, that may need this information, and who knows, they might be helped. Right about now, I'll just invite Mr. Silungwe to just give us this wonderful training. Please remember to drop your questions in the comment below and just engage with us. Thank you very much, Mr. Silungwe. Give us this wonderful training. Thank you.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I won't call it a training because I'm not really the technical expert in what I'm going to talk about, and I'll just try to make this as one of many. I think we'll have maybe 2 more sessions, and today I'm just going to focus on one of the products. Then we can talk a little bit about that product, and then I also just tell you a little bit about what we do. So let me just jump into it. I think, like as Emmanuel has put it, just feel free to chime in, jump in, ask questions, interact. I love interactive sessions, and I hope this will be as interactive. Where is my presentation? Just a second. Something is hiding my presentation. Oh, there we go. Praise God. All right. Is everybody getting me loud and clearly?
Yes, sir, we are.
Okay. Just give me a bit of life there. I would love to just for a second, if you can, just turn on your camera and just wave. Don't turn on your microphone. Just show me that you are alive and well and kicking, and the Lord is blessing you. Don't be shy. Wow, nobody's doing that. I guess it's fine. Oh, there we go. Musa, hi Musa. Looking great. You can just show your hand. Don't show everything. I'm also in a bed here, so bedroom. I'm just making my background blurry, so we're not shy. It's the time of the day of the night. So just feel free to wave. Nice to see you, Susan, Edward, and everyone else. Good. There's even a digital way of doing it from Jackson. I think there's a thumbs up, which is also awesome. Awesome. All right, let's get into this. So like I said, I'm not an expert in farming. In fact, I am what you call an entrepreneur. And I think a lot of us are on this platform, from what I've been sort of guided. I am actually a development economist, and I have founded a few small businesses here and there. The biggest one being the one I'm going to present about, and one of the products that we're going to be looking at. So I hail from different parts of this country. My mom being Lozi, my father being Mambwe, and me being lost because I grew up in the East, I grew up in the South, I was born in the Central, and I speak about 7 languages, which makes me a qualified Zambian, fully Zambian. And I went to school for development economics, and I've always loved agriculture, and that is what I'm really passionate about. I have grown a few crops here and there, but the biggest thing that I've done in this life is to make sure that a lot of people are growing, and this is what we are all about. So I'm going to talk about mostly the seed that we have, which is soybean. Kafue is the name. I'm going to tell you a little bit about that crop. And it would be great if I can hear if there's anybody that has grown this seed. I think it would be nice if we can have a chat a little bit. It might not have been from Good Nature, but Kafue is an open variety, so you might have gotten it from somewhere. So, let's share experiences. I have grown it only for a season, for practice, because I've also tried to grow a lot of other crops, but I have a full team that backs me up when it comes to that. So let me tell you a little bit about myself and then Good Nature. So, like I said, my name is Silungwe. I'm turning 32 next month. Started this business when I was 24, and it has grown to cover most of the country, and we'll talk a little bit about how that works now. And we grow over 15 varieties of different legumes, and these are being sold by different agro dealers across the country, but also reaching out to a lot of farmers. So Good Nature Agro is the company, and we basically work on the mission to increase small-scale farmer incomes, and we do so by growing legumes. Our chief aim is that we move farmers, and these being the small-scale farmers, from poverty and into the middle class. And we do that by growing mostly legumes, and I'll explain how that is done. So legumes are basically crops that are been forgotten and now gaining a little bit of fame. 7 years ago, when we started to grow, I think a lot of people thought the Eastern Province would be the only place you could get groundnuts and shaba. You can get beans from the north, and different other crops were being grown as garden crops at people's backyards, especially our mothers. Soy has become one of the biggest ones now. Everybody is trying to look for it and trying to grow it, and we've been growing the variety that we have for the past 7 years. So we grow it with small-scale farmers. That is our main differentiator as a seed company. So Good Nature is actually a holistic company that is broken into almost 2 sectors mainly. One is seed company, where we grow with small-scale farmers, and the other side is what we call Good Nature Source, where we work with almost all the farmers depending on what segment, what area, and what kind of land size that they're growing in. And that is not for seed, but it is for commodity. So our main differentiator when it comes to the seed side is compared to most seed companies is that we grow these seeds with small scale farmers. So where you would grow seed with one commercial farmer with 500 hectares, we choose to grow with 500 farmers with 1 hectare each. And these will be growing any of these legumes depending on the area that we're at. So at the moment, we're working with about 4,400 small-scale farmers in the Eastern Province growing all these crops except beans. Beans is the one that we've moved up north, and that's where we're growing most of the varieties with a small group of farmers in Senga Hill, Kasama area. So we love legumes. We've loved them because one, they are good for incomes. They help these farmers to earn a lot, which is where we derive part of our passion. When you compare these legumes compared to maize, which has been accepted as our staple, you find that farmers are earning much more. A good comparison at Good Nature is that from a hectare of maize, you can get at least $113 US. I don't know what that translates to in Kwacha, but I think close to about 2,000 somewhere there. And the same hectare, if you grow any of these legumes for seed, you will be earning somewhere close to about $600. And that's quite a lot of cash, if you ask me. A lot of farmers are smiling all the way to the bank. Legumes are good soil health crops. They nodulate in the ground, which means they capture a lot of nitrogen and they build a lot of good biomass, meaning you can use less fertilizers. You can always rotate them with some of the cereals that you're growing, and they work very favorably. They are nutritional crops, not only to the soils, but also to ourselves. I think you can, if you are Zambian like me, every time a baby is born around you or somebody is feeling unwell, especially this time of COVID, you find that people start to look for a bit of groundnuts to feed them with porridge. Pound it into porridge. And that tells you some of the nutritional benefits. I'm not saying it's the secret to Corona, just eat healthy. So basically, with our seed farmers, we have a method in which we work with these farmers. They supply seed to us, and how they do it is that we contract these farmers mostly in groups of 40, and then out of those 40, we realize one person who becomes their trainer. That trainer is trained by us at Good Nature, and they are trained into some of the farming skills, the record keeping, finances, a bit of enterprise, a lot of that. And then once trained, they go back into the community, and this is where they give personalized knowledge to each of those 39 that remain in the group. And then they also are given an input loan. So in this case, when they're given a kilogram seed to multiply, they pay us back 2.5 kilograms. And when we get that loan back, we buy it from them and we sell the rest of it. Of course, they follow seed production recommendations. So it's not just commodity that's been produced. But we do have another side, which is our commodity production, and I'll explain a little bit about that. Now, why small-scale farmers? We have realized that farmers have a lot that is around them. It's easy for us to conduct a bit of research that allows us to be innovative about our approaches. They face the brunt of issues when it comes to things like loans. They do not have access to it because they might not have grown a good credit history. They don't have access to reliable markets. Mostly if they grow maize, they have two markets. It would be either the government, which might take long to pay, or the briefcase buyers who will be giving predatory prices. And then there's an issue again of knowledge. When they are about to produce things like legumes, they need specialized knowledge, which is partly why we're here, to learn a little bit about some of our offerings when it comes to the production of soy. What other side of good nature do we have, which is a big one, which also will come as an opportunity for those that are interested. We have what's called good nature source. Good nature source basically is the bigger side of good nature, and that might be what you might have heard depending on which area you're in. We work with, and I'd like you to just look, if you're looking at this page of the presentation, just look at the big bold letters. The rest of the small letters you can read as I explained. So basically for source, we've realized that we are a seed company. And the seed company is good, quite all right. But for us to make an impact and answer the question that we're always asked when we're selling seed, which is, how do we grow with you guys? How do we become part of your network? We can't contract the whole country to growing seed, because that would basically saturate the whole thing, the whole concept, and it won't be legal under the regulations here. So what we have is farmers can opt to get into producing with good nature, but for commodity markets. So what we are showing is what we call basically market information or markets, or we become the market. So in this case, we don't work with the farmers directly, but we work with agro businesses that are doing processing, which would be that first stage there. Would gather their information. So in this case, if we had beans, for example, or groundnuts that are going into chocolate, we actually go to the agro processors. They can be in Italy, they can be in South Africa, whichever it is. We gather their needs. They tell us they need this size of peanut, this size of soya, this size of beans. Then we come back here and basically tell that information to our breeders. They'll breed for it, or they'll look for it if it's been bred. And then they produce a small quantity that is taken to the foundation farm right here, where we do a bit of research and multiply it a bit more. Now that's where our seed process actually begins on our piece of land, and then it moves to our farmers, those 4,400 I was talking about. These multiply it into more seed, which you now can see onto your shelves or stores. But in this case, we look for customers that are organized as groups, so cooperatives, grower groups, you name it. These that are interested in growing for a reliable market. So once we produce with these, they buy the seed here. They purchase it from us, then we get them to agree on the contract terms that are supplying to that agro business for the quantities that they need to supply. A good example would be if these guys wanted 100,000 metric tons, they would tell us, and we produce our first 10 kilograms here, multiply it to 100 there, multiply it to 10,000 here, and then these guys produce 100,000 metric tons, and then we supply it to the agribusiness. And therefore, our contract is supplied. The seed that you are seeing at Good Nature has got a market here, and then basically the value chain is complete. So that is what we do in a nutshell. I know it's a long explanation, but today we're here for one of our products, which is soy. I'm going to just segue a little bit there and see what you have in the charts for that first part. Oh, okay, not questions. I'm just looking at the chat box there. Feel free to ask me any questions in the chat box. Or
we can give them chance to ask questions maybe at the end.
All right, no, that sounds good. I was just trying to make a segue. All right, so like I said, I'm not the expert in this field. I'm a development economist, but a jack of all trades. And I'll tell you, jack of all trades are very necessary for a time like this when the world is being hammered by Corona and all kinds of things, because they get into pretty much everything. They are not the kings, they are not the official people in those sectors, but they drive. So I invite you into this kind of class as well. You are agile, you adapt, and it's easy for businesses to survive. So one of our products, as I mentioned, is Kafue soybean. And that's not to say we only produce that, but we produce a lot of other things. And some of those, to mention by a few, we have a lot of groundnut varieties that we produce at Good Nature Agro. One of the famous ones, which I'll explain, I think, in another session, is a groundnut called Wamsanga. It's an early maturing variety, Spanish variety. A lot of the confectionery guys that are producing candy and that kind of stuff are looking for that groundnut. So we have a lot of it in stock, and we sell it. Today we'll be focusing on soya, but we also have beans, cowpeas, mung bean, you name it. And all this stuff is also available at Good Nature Agro. So Kafue soy. This is a variety that we do not own at Good Nature Agro. We are fortunate to be in a country that allows us to have public varieties that we can grow ourselves. And Kafue is one of those public varieties. It's an open pollinated variety of soy. It's not any hybrid or anything that has been produced in that sense. It can be multiplied easily, and it has been multiplied multiple times by farmers. But when it comes to us, we recommend that at least you can buy to make sure your yields are maintained and you get the quality that you need, especially now that the markets are becoming sensitive on what they get. So it was produced and officiated by Zari and its partner called IITA, which is the International Institute for Tropical Agriculture. It's an early maturing variety that is suitable for the rainfall period because of its short growth pattern. So basically it grows and matures in about 105 to 120 days, depending on your elevation. It's an interesting crop in that you do not need a lot of it to produce it, and I'll explain a little bit why. It's a very small seeded crop, smaller than what you would find mostly on the market that is competitive, but it's very high yielding. So for a hectare of land, you need only about 50 kgs of this soy variety because it's small seeded. Unlike most varieties, you need about 100 kg, almost at the same price though. 25 kgs for us, 50 kgs on a hectare. 25 kgs is the same price as what you'd get for 25 kgs everywhere, but you would produce 50 kgs only on a hectare. So it's quite cheap if you look at it in that term. It's got a potential of yielding you about 3 metric tons. And I say potential based on a lot of things. I think as farmers, you will know that some of the tenets of producing this crop need you to be very, very cautious, and you stay onto your land, make sure you understand things like your soil. It is actually advised these days that you actually take things like your soil test. There are affordable places where you can do that. Then they'll advise you with also what you require. I'll not present on what the requirements are. I'm quite limited in that space, but I'll make a session again when we can look at some of the requirements, like what you need for fertilizers, what you would need for any other preventatives and chemicals. But all in all, it is quite a stubborn crop. It's quite resistant to drought and a lot of other diseases in the field. So it's good for regions 1, 2, and 3. And I'm just going to show you a bit of a technical slide later on what those regions look like and some of the recommended ways that you can actually plant this crop. It's got a high oil content. It's actually required for a lot of, it's actually wanted by a lot of these processors that are looking at oil production, a little bit of also on the feed side, and it matches. Nowadays, if you're looking at commodity buyers, some would be very interested in what the content of the oil might be, some might not. I think the market is quite open at this time. We can sort of get away with that. So if you're farmers, if somebody is not asking you for the heavy requirements, it's an easy crop to grow as well. It shatters. It's a semi-late shatterer, if I would put it that way. You can get away with it in the field a little bit late. It's semi-resistant basically to shattering. You can thresh it, but you need to have dried it and tan it, and I'll show you another slide basically on that as well. In the fields, you can easily identify it by its height. It grows quite tall, close to 1 meter. Some of the visible identifiable features is that it grows a purple colored flower, and it has some brown brushes, some of the hairs that you see there. And then the pods grow up high on the crop, and it really yields well. This is a picture of one of the farmers in the field. It's a good nature farmer, actually. She was growing a small lima field. She's one of our iconic farmers, and that's just basically it before it actually goes into full maturity stage. You see what it's vegetative, but you can see the height there. That's a little bit about that. I'm going to try to change this and come back to it again. Let me just share another piece of technical information. Just allow me there. Please feel free to drop in your questions as I do this. Where is it?
As you've heard, please don't feel shy, drop your questions. Oh, it looks like everyone understood. Please just drop your questions.
Please share your question. I do not know how to share this thing. It's not coming up. All right. Show windows. Okay, I think I got it now. Awesome. I hope you can all see that. That's just a small document that we've created, and I'm happy to share it with you all so that you can easily remember and catch up. If you look at producing Kafue, it's basically defining a little bit about what this crop is about and what it does, and then also shows some of the regions I was talking about. So if you are in region 1, that means you are in this yellowish color here. That's region 1. So it covers a lot more of the southern province, a bit of the central there, going almost in the middle of Mchinga and in the east. And then if you are in region 2, this is central and eastern province pretty much. And it can also show you the kind of millimeters there of rainfall. So this crop is within that range, so it works out perfect. And then region 2B is basically the western province there. And then region 3, which is also a bigger fraction of the country right there. A few features again of the crop is that it's early maturing, and the color of the helium, which is that helium, sorry, is that color of the hair on the eye on the seed. It's in perfect black, and then it's erect, so it goes up, it does not branch down. And then the stem hairs, it's called tawny, but that's what I was showing you there, the sort of brownish color. Then the flower color is violet, but the easy one to say is just it looks purple. It's medium tall, and it's also a determinant type of crop. So some of the sort of diseases again, here's it's quite tolerant to drought and a number of diseases. So some of those are being listed there: rust, and a few other frog eye, leaf spot. And then when you come to recommendations on how you can plant it, this is for small scale farmers. We didn't put anything for commercials, but you can almost get a bit of those tenets there. An easy rule of thumb, or pun intended there in the picture, is that it can grow. You can use basically your fist between the seeds, to find the spacing. Now, if you're doing it quickly, this just becomes an easy task to do. I've seen farmers run through this, but it's recommended that at least you have 50 between rows, 10 between the seeds, and 5 below the ground. And again, an easy way to find out what the height could be is if you poke your finger to the knuckle. That is the recommended depth that you would get your seed. An easy way to remember this, again, if you wanted to sort of plant it intercropped, you can grow it 1 week after maize. It's also been seen as an easy way to sort of grow it. A lot of farmers will grow their maize somewhere around November, December, and then you can grow you can also throw your soy there. Use inoculant if it's provided. In this case, for farmers who provide it, but as I recommended, you need to get your soil tests. You can easily grow it without inoculant. It's a promiscuous variety, so it doesn't always need the inoculant. And then at all costs, if you can, if your soil again requires it, you can use lime. In terms of growth, you can control your weeds before planting. So there's chemical control, which requires clearing the bushes or your field with the chemical. Those I can't recommend right now. I think a lot of you use that. And then to do checks, there's a method that we use that we call the W pattern, which allows you to move from a field in a W form. So you get from one end of the field to the other end, and just like that until you make a W form. So it will help you sort of look at your field and make sure it's growing fine. You can take your results and stuff like that. So we have a nutrient guide that I'll be showing, I think, in another session, and that's what will tell us a little bit about what we need to help it grow in terms of soil requirements and all that. So for harvest, we recommend that you can shake the pods at the time that you get those 105 to 120 days. If they make a noise, then you know that it's dry enough. And you can also bite the seeds to sort of test if they are dry enough. And if they crack, then you know it's too dry. And if they're softer, then you can get them out of the field. And then you need to remove them basically immediately when you get that taste, when you get that hardness, smooth hardness, and then you put it onto the ground. Now, onto the ground, you pile them at least 1 meter, and you can turn every 3 days. So these are recommended, and I think it's general for most of the soy, but that's what we have. So I'm going to share this with you, and then next week I'll also share the guide. All right, let's go back to the. Okay, so in terms of some of the best practices that we've seen and sort of advised our farmers, it comes from the heart of the farmer. For us, we try to answer some of these questions. For best practices' sake, you need to understand what you're going to grow. So in other words, plan, make sure that you know what you're going to grow. We recommend this Kafue, but you need to know what you are going to grow, and you need to know how you're going to grow it, what kind of area. And some of those things we can only advise, and we are open also to advising you personally so that you get the best yield. And that's the session I was also trying to represent there. With the markets linkages, we try as much as possible to make sure the farmers are adequately empowered to know, to plan, for their foreseeable season, for their foreseeable future, so they get the best. And then we give good extension advice, sometimes physically onto the farm, to make sure that you are getting your yield, so that at least you get closer to that 300 metric tons, 3,000 metric tons, or at least the 3,000 metric tons. Ask yourself the question who you're going to sell to if you're not a processor, or if you are not if you're not going to physically sell it and you have a market. You need to know who you're going to sell it to, Draft all that. It's part of planning. It's very important that you get that information and make sure that you have the answer to that. Where am I going to get the seed? Well, one of the options, we have the seed, but you can also just make sure that you are part of either the group that gets it as seed or the group that gets it as part of our source group, or you can also purchase it from our agro dealers and our agro dealer network across the country. We have these dotted across the country, and you can check out and like our Facebook page. You can get to our website. Our website is also interactive. You can talk to us and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions. And then, have the question, how do I pay? Make sure that in your planning, you also have the money and you are able to afford these products or whatever it is for a farm. These are best practices that are general. A farmer for us, a good farmer for us, just make sure that they answer those questions and they have the ability to be ready for the season. So that's pretty much it for me from this session. I will open up the floor for questions.
Thank you very much, sir, for that wonderful training. I personally enjoyed it. Right about now, we've reached a session where you can ask your questions. Please don't feel shy. Drop your questions down below in the comment section, and we'll attend to them. This training is brought to you by eMsika under Mulimi Apunzile. You can, if you don't mind, you can just like our Facebook page, which is Mulimi Apunzile and eMsika Services Limited. You can also check our websites, eMsika.com, for all your farm inputs. You can also buy these seed from our website, eMsika.com. Good nature seeds and many more seeds, they are found on our website under a discount. We also want to invite you to also check out our Apunzile page. We have all these trainings and many more. All this material will be uploaded on that website and many more trainings. So also check out our YouTube channel, which is eMsika Services. You'll find all these training videos there. All right, we have a question from Chewe, which is, do you provide market linkages for farmers that grow other varieties besides the ones you are promoting?
Good question. Thank you so much, Chewe. It says Chewe's iPhone, so I'm assuming Chewe is the name. We unfortunately do not. That is because we want to sell products that we are familiar with, that we have grown ourselves, and we are sure that there's a market for them. If you remember that part of the presentation, I showed you that sort of circle, and I told you to focus on the darker parts. One of those was that we get to the end market. We look at the agro dealers, the agro processors, sorry, not agro dealers, but agro processors, and some of those markets that are buying the end market. Those are taken to the consumers. They're the ones that inform us on what they want. So if we took in what you have and we do not have a market for it, it would give us extra work. So we work with what is demanded. So we have an array of crops that are being taken up right now. Some of the groundnuts, some of the soy, some of the beans, those have ready markets, and you can opt to get in and basically buy and grow for us, and basically off-take them. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, you did. Thank you very much, sir. We also have another one from Jackson. How much does one require to be part of your network? What is the major benefit of joining your network?
Oh, great. Sounds good. So it requires you to be a committed farmer. Basically, you should be in a group. We ask that you are in a group. So this could be a cooperative, a grower group, a farm. In this case, emergent farmers are open to that. You can enroll with us and basically tell us what you want to grow. Answer those questions I was talking about, what you want to grow for the foreseeable season. And then we basically have to vet you in a way. And then you can opt to purchase the input from us. And then all we do is just make sure that you produce it and get the best out of it, because the end market is what we're interested in linking you to. And so far, we have networks of farmers that are spotted around the country. the biggest ones being in Central Province and Eastern Province. We've opened up a bit of the copper belts now, and we're looking also into Southern Province. The benefits are that you have somebody to help you produce, so somebody that can work with you through the process. The other benefit is that you can have flexible terms of payment with us directly. And then the last one is that you can also have a reliable market for the crops that you produce.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We also have another one from the doctor. At how much do you buy soya per kg? And how much are you selling soya seeds per 50 kg?
Okay. I cannot answer the first one. It's really dependent on the year. One thing that I'll tell you is that we do not guarantee prices at the beginning of the season like now. I'll give you an example of why. It can be a win or lose situation for any of us committing to a price and you committing to take to that price. So we basically have a way that we make the price. So for example, if we committed at 6 kwacha last year because it made sense that the highest price was around 5 kwacha, come this year for soya, you'll find that prices went as high as 13, and that's what we linked some of our farmers to. So if it was at 13, that means it would have been a loss for you. But then if we committed on a higher price again, then it would hit us. So what we do is we look at the price at the end of the growing season. We gather up prices, and what we do is we find you the best market. And if a market has agreed on working with us, so for example, these external markets, they'll tell us, and we advise them on a premium. So we would basically let them know what the current price is, and they can work on a premium on top of that price so that you're not left out. On the seed side, it's very, very clear for us. That one is we choose the sites, we choose the farmers. We have a 25 to about 35% premium on top of the price that is obtaining. So that is what we add on the seed. Then on the price of seed, for now, I'll let Emmanuel say the price. We have a wholesale and retail price. If you're getting it directly from us, we've sold them at 25 kgs. But eMsika is one of the platforms that we're selling on, and I'll just allow Emmanuel to say that price. You're all privileged to be on here. So I wouldn't want to sell it unless you're an agro dealer and you want to get directly from us. I'm happy to talk about our retail and wholesale prices. Those are available. You can contact me. I'll leave my details, or you can reach out to any of the numbers or emails that are on our website and our page. Those will get you the wholesale retail prices directly from us. Manu, should I just go and ask the next question?
Oh, thank you very much, sir. The price for the seed is 256. That's on discount. If you want more information, please do check out the website, eMsika.com. You'll find more details about the discount. And also check out the Facebook page. You'll find more information about the discounts for all the seed and all the kgs that you may want to have. Thank you.
Fantastic.
We also have another question. Do you offer extension services?
Yes, we do. We are actually strong in that. So like I said, we have what's called a personalized system. If you are in a group of farmers, we always have a trainer that is available for you. If you are in a cooperative or any kind of form of group and you've all agreed to come and purchase at Good Nature, we give you an extension person. Of course, it depends on numbers, on how effective it is. If you go above 300 farmers in your group, then we give you a full-time person paid by Good Nature. There are a few organizations that are doing that with us across the country. But if it's something less than that, then we have a part-time person. So they would pop in every time a need is there, anytime questions are there, and then they'll be more than happy to walk you through. So extension is actually the core of our business. We want questions answered. We come from a background where a lot of the government extension services were quite hard for the government to give to the farmers. Give an example of the ratio. I think it was 5,000 farmers to one extension officer. Now imagine that as a class, you would definitely not listen to anything that's being asked or, or being taught. So we dropped the ratio to 40. So for us, our ratio is 1 to 40 farmers. And we can break that down into the same groups, and then we can combine the bigger numbers groups. So for example, the 300, you can break that down into 40s or smaller groups, and those are the extension groups. And we have our certified and licensed seed trainers. We also have agronomists that are onto the team. So we have about 122 people that are ready to help you.
Thank you, thank you. We also have another question from Natasha. She's asking, would you share the contact details if one would like to join?
Sure. You can, if you have email, you can basically, I think I'll just write these at the end of the, do you have a platform where you guys are all in, and then if I shared it, you would all see it, or should I share it on here?
You can share it with us, then we can drop it in the groups.
All right,
they can have this information.
All right, so you can basically write your interest to source@goodnature.com. If you are looking at joining as a I'm just writing goodnatureagro.com. If you're looking at joining as a group, you can also call me directly, and I'm just going to put my details there. You can also WhatsApp that number. Of course, at night I might take long to respond, but in the daytime this is active. I'm more than happy to answer your questions.
Thank
That's
you very much. Thank you very much, sir. Let's have another one. Do I only have to plant during rain season, or they can grow on irrigation?
With the soya variety that I talked about, you can grow it off season, but you invest a little bit more when it comes into the off season because of different issues. I think heat is one of those. If you plant it at the wrong time, you might get heat and your flowers will abort, and then you lose your crop. Yield might not be as good. We've seen it do very well into the rainy season, but we've also had trials off season, and does well, but it just takes a lot of commitment. So to answer that question, you can grow it. It just needs a lot of commitment.
All right. We also have another one from Musa. Does the seed have potential to yield 30 tons without inoculation?
3 tons, you mean? 30 tons is too is too high.
3 tons per hectare.
I'll be honest with you, I have not seen it go to 3 tons without inoculation. And that's, I'm not saying it can't. I think it's up for good research. Inoculation, again, it also goes with the kind of soils that you have. It's promiscuous, so it means it doesn't really need the inoculant. It can do that, but I don't have facts to prove that. It's a good question, and I'd love to answer it with you. So I think Musa, just get in touch with me, and then I'll also give you my research team. I have breeders and also a few other guys that are growing this actively. If you're in Lusaka, we're in Makeni on the Linda Road, just opposite J&J Tracking, that road that goes down. We have a lab there that's growing this stuff, and you can also just check it out. It's fun. If you have a day that you're just free, just go out there, see the seed, see how it's growing. You're welcome.
Thank you, thank you. I also have another one from Chiwe's iPhone. Besides the 300 farmers threshold for food time extension, do you consider the heritage to be produced?
Yes. Yes. So if you are what you call an emergent farmer, so that means you'd be somewhere in the range of about 5 hectares and above. We give you a slightly personalized outreach. Again, it's not 100%, it's not full-time, it's part-time. So a person will come to you and make sure you're doing well. They give you calls. You can reach out to them. You can send them problems. They'll reach out to you. So there's an emergent farmer category. And then there's also commercial farmer, which is 10 hectares and above. And those we also give them personalized. Depending on their hectareage, we can also give them a full-time person to reach out to them. Why 300? It's basically to justify why Good Nature should pay for a full-time person for you. So we offer them a bike, we offer them a salary on a monthly basis. They have targets that they hit and they make sure they get you the best yields. So that's why the 300 there.
Thank you very much. I think due to time, I think that will be our last question. Please remember we have dropped the promo. If you want this seed, you can check out the chat section. We have dropped the link to the product on the website. Please, you go there and just purchase. You won't regret. All right, right about now, I think it's time to say our goodbyes. Yes, this PowerPoint presentation will be available on apunzile.com. Please check out the website. That's where you'll find all PowerPoints, training videos of all the trainings that we have. Please check it out and share with people who would want this kind of information. Thank you for joining us. Mr. Sango, do you have any last remarks?
All I can say is it's always a pleasure talking with you. One thing that I've just done is opened up myself to the world. So please, we are learning together. Like I said, I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm also a lot of other things. So feel free to reach out for anything, including advice, personal advice. So beyond just producing soy on business, more than happy to walk you through at no fee. I love to learn, so I'm still learning. Maybe I'll add a fee someday when I feel like it, but at the moment, totally free access. Abuse it. Feel free to reach out. This is a business that's born out of a Zambian's head. It's being run by Zambians, of course, with partnerships from the US and also a few other countries. It's grown to what it is because people believe in it, and I really appreciate. So every time you're buying some of this crop, believe me, you're buying from the list of the people in the community. We get it from some of the poorest of the poor. That hectare amount I talked about, the $600, to some of us it might be changed, but that is a life-changing amount to some of these communities. So we are working with over 21,000 of these small-scale farmers across the country, and we're making an impact in a way that we can. So the mission is big. You can also play your part and just make sure that you have some of these issues sorted out and you have become a solution. So that's all I can say. Thank you so much for listening, and I'm really happy to be hosted here, and I'm really happy to teach what I could.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for having us. Thank you for sharing this wonderful information. As you've heard, for now, this information is free. These contact details are for free, but in future, you will be paying. So I wouldn't hesitate to contact him and also to try to utilize this time that we have access to him so that we can get as much information as we need in order for us to succeed as farmers. Thank you for joining us. Please remember this video will be available on YouTube and on Apunzile. By tomorrow, we'll publish everything and you can go back and rewatch the video. Share it with everyone that would want to learn more about these things. Check out our Facebook pages, eMsika Services, and also Mulimi Apunzile. Also, please remember there's a promotion on our website, eMsika.com. Please go there and check it out. We'll deliver the product for you so that you can just focus on farming and doing all the things that you need to do. Please remember on Sunday we have another training with Mr. Zunga, and our special guest will be Chiwamba Kanyama. I wouldn't want to miss that training. Please do find time to join us. It's at 20 to 21. Share it with everyone, and please remember, no farmer, no food. Good night, and have a wonderful day tomorrow and a wonderful weekend. Good night.